Hey there! Welcome back to this channel with another motivational video to inspire and guide you. There's a certain comfort in the familiar, even when that familiarity is steeped in misery. I learned this the hard way, and if you're looking to chart a course for unhappiness, I can share the lessons I ignored. Each one is a breadcrumb leading straight to a life of discontent, a roadmap for how to cultivate misery like a fine wine. First, let's talk about expectations. I remember vividly how I held on to the idea that life should unfold according to a script I had written in my head. I thought that if I worked hard, followed the rules, and kept my nose clean, I would be rewarded with a life that looked a certain way. The perfect job, a loving partner, a cozy home filled with laughter and warmth. But when reality didn't match my expectations, I felt betrayed. I ignored the lesson that life is inherently unpredictable. Instead of embracing the chaos, I clung to my rigid narrative, which only deepened my dissatisfaction. If you want to be miserable, hold tightly to your expectations, and let every deviation from your plan feel like a personal failure. Next, let's discuss the importance of relationships. I spent years believing that I didn't need anyone. I thought independence was synonymous with strength. I pushed people away, convinced that vulnerability was a weakness. I ignored the lesson that human connection is vital to happiness. Instead, I built walls, isolating myself in a fortress of solitude. The more I distanced myself from others, the more I felt the weight of loneliness pressing down on me. If you want to be miserable, keep your walls high and your heart closed. Avoid meaningful connections at all costs. Then there's the matter of self-compassion. I was my harshest critic, always berating myself for my mistakes and shortcomings. I thought that if I held myself to impossibly high standards, I would somehow achieve greatness. Instead, I became a prisoner of my own expectations, drowning in self-loathing. I ignored the lesson that everyone makes mistakes and that it's okay to be imperfect. If you want to be miserable, never forgive yourself. Hold on to every regret and let it fester until it consumes you. Let's not forget about the importance of gratitude. I was so focused on what I lacked that I failed to see the abundance around me. I lived in a constant state of comparison, always measuring my worth against others. I ignored the lesson that gratitude can shift your perspective and bring joy to even the bleakest of days. Instead of appreciating the small victories and simple pleasures, I fixated on what was missing. If you want to be miserable, keep your focus firmly on what you don't have, and let envy and resentment take root in your heart. Another lesson I chose to ignore was the value of taking risks. I played it safe for so long, afraid of failure and rejection. I stayed in my comfort zone, convinced that venturing out would only lead to pain. I ignored the lesson that growth often comes from discomfort and that taking risks can lead to incredible rewards. By avoiding challenges, I stunted my own development and settled for a life that was safe but stagnant. If you want to be miserable, never step outside your comfort zone. Stay in the predictable, the mundane, and let fear dictate your choices. Let's talk about the importance of self-care. I was so busy juggling responsibilities and meeting others' expectations that I neglected my own needs. I thought that putting myself last was a badge of honor, a testament to my dedication and sacrifice. I ignored the lesson that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential for well-being. I burned out, both physically and emotionally, and in that state of depletion, I became irritable and resentful. If you want to be miserable, ignore your own needs. Let the demands of life overshadow your well-being until you're left feeling like a shell of your former self. And then there's the matter of pursuing passions. I spent years in jobs that drained me, convinced that I had to prioritize stability over fulfillment. I ignored the lesson that life is too short to spend it doing something that doesn't ignite your spirit. I let fear of the unknown keep me tethered to a life that felt more like a prison than a journey. If you want to be miserable, forgo your passions and let your dreams wither away in the shadows of practicality. Lastly, let's address the power of perspective. I often found myself trapped in a cycle of negativity, viewing the world through a lens of cynicism. I ignored the lesson that our thoughts shape our reality. Instead of seeking the silver lining in challenges, I wallowed in despair, convinced that the universe was conspiring against me. If you want to be miserable, let negativity be your default setting. Dismiss any glimmer of hope and let pessimism color every experience. As I reflect on these lessons I ignored, I realize they were not mere suggestions but vital truths that could have altered the course of my life. Each one represents a choice, a path I could have taken toward a more fulfilling existence. Instead, I chose to cling to my misery, wrapping it around me like a familiar blanket. But here's the irony. Even in sharing this narrative of my own failures, I find a flicker of hope. The lessons I ignored are not set in stone. They can be learned anew. If you find yourself resonating with this tale, there's still time to change course. Embrace the unpredictability of life. Cultivate relationships. Practice self-compassion. And let gratitude guide your heart. Take risks. Prioritize self-care. Pursue your passions and shift your perspective. In the end, the choice is yours. You can continue down the path of misery, clinging to the lessons ignored, or you can forge a new way forward, one that embraces the beauty and complexity of life. The power to change is always within reach, waiting for you to grasp it. If this video inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs a boost. And if you're ready for more motivation, success tips, and life-changing insights, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Let's grow together.